So what is going on, everyone? Mike Curlin here with the I gotta get used to this one. MLB playing time stream. We'll come up with a better name for it in the future. But what we're gonna do today is catch up on all things playing time over the opening day, yesterday, some lineups coming out today. We're gonna talk lineups, injuries, playing time fallout. Obviously, I already have lineups up on the screen. We're gonna go through them. These are just yesterday's lineups. Some of them are 2-day samples. Some of them today is gonna give us some 3-game samples. And what we'll do is we'll just go through them and talk it all out, discuss some of the stuff that we're seeing, the trends that we're watching moving forward, playing time, guys that maybe think about getting in on before things get going. And of course, we'll talk about some of the notes I've noticed just over StatCast and stuff. A lot of pitch mix changes early on. Again, such small samples. Let's emphasize that to start off. Not only is it small samples, things fluctuate, things change, but we have to just kind of create that starting point and move forward. And that's what this kind of is supposed to be doing. We're trying to just kind of create that baseline and monitor from there and see where it goes. So we're going to start with the Brewers, and obviously it was great to see, against a lefty yesterday. Churio let off today, as you'll see, against a righty. He's already batting ninth, so it looks like he's going to stick towards the bottom line against righties, lead off against lefties. Not really anything we didn't see coming. A little lower against righties than I anticipated initially on the projection. Which, by the way, if you haven't checked out yet, check out MLBPlayingTime.com. We have all 30 teams, projected rosters, lineups, lefties, righty splits, all the good stuff. Notes to help pretty much put what I'm saying right now into context if you don't listen to this or watch this. So we have that going on, of course. And let's see. So anyway, back to the Brewers. What I found interesting this morning was against lefties. Okay, Joey Ortiz started at second base. You can expect a platoon. He actually even moved over to third base, so technically he already has one appearance at third base, which helps that eligibility potential. But as you'll notice today against lefties or against righties, they brought the lefty Oliver Dunn in. Dunn did have a little bit of a splash in spring. I don't remember if he ended up finishing well, but I do remember his name kind of flashing early on. With that being said, I think Dunn is going to get the first shot, obviously, against righties as it appears. I don't think Ortiz is necessarily in a full-time strict platoon necessarily, but I do anticipate a platoon of sorts, more of a part-time role. We updated the projection on the site. We, as in me, updated the projection on the site to reflect this. Jake Bauers, we already had him plugged in as a strong side platoon guy. I think you'll see almost a platoon of him and Gary Sanchez. Sanchez playing catcher, giving Contreras the chance to DH against righties or lefties. Yesterday, as you saw, Sanchez yesterday DH, but as time goes on, Contreras gets his rest days to keep Contreras in the lineup and towards the top of the lineup. At that, you'll see Sanchez come in and catch, but putting Sanchez in against lefties, Bauers against righties, kind of a pseudo platoon there. A weird one. You don't usually see a catcher first base, but this is one of those teams that are going to be changing things up as they go. And then you have the Mets. The Mets are going to be, I think this is going to be kind of what you see against righties until we have JD Martinez. That's going to slot in right around here. Martinez will hit right around here, which is going to push down McNeil and Marte into the 5-6. But that's about what you should expect from the Mets. It's pretty cut and dry, pretty basic. Beatty in a platoon, it looks like, because obviously today against a lefty, or yesterday against a righty, he batted eighth, started. Today against a lefty, they brought in Zach Short right away at third base, so it's a platoon from the looks of things. Tyrone Taylor in right field. Who's he platooning with today? Bader's in. DH is Marte. Okay, so Marte moved. It's actually, so I have to move Taylor up in the projected lineups against righties. But currently, I'm going to look it up real quick where I had him. I like to compare where I landed to what we're seeing day one. And as you can see, we had it Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso. I have to update the Francisco Alvarez to be spelled correctly. Marte fifth. So we had Tyrone Taylor. So we had him in the lineup. I put Beatty as a part timer because I wasn't sure. We're going to update that as well. So Short will go in, and I'll probably tab Beatty as a strong side platoon player. Zach Short is a weak side platoon player. And Tyrone Taylor, we're going to move up. But Taylor was always projected to start against righties. It just made sense. Getting back to here, the Tigers. This is kind of what we saw in spring. Baez batting eighth was a surprise, not so much against righties. That's how we had it. But against lefties, I did initially have him higher just because Baez is better against lefties. And, oh, yeah, good. Ben, appreciate the comment. It is interesting to see Hoskins bat sixth. I had him fourth pretty much all the time, but Adames has proven to be a very capable hitter all around. Hoskins, obviously better against lefties and righties. But I don't think Hoskins will stay 6 if he's hitting well, but I think they're going to see what they have in Bowers. And Bowers gives them if you look at the lineup, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, lefty, righty. So I think that's all it was kind of splitting up the righties with lefties. So Hoskins bumped down a spot, probably would bat 4 or 6. And you can see if Adames kind of gets off to a slower start, you might see Adames and him flip-flop type of thing, because we saw Adames drop in the order against righty. So I actually thought Adames was going to hit behind Hoskins initially. But for now, Adames 4th. We saw that last year for a little bit. And as long as he hits, he'll stay there. But if he doesn't, then him and Hoskins will probably flip. Back to the Tigers. Well, that's going to be a long stream because we're trying to go team by team here. This is what you see is what you get here. Again, Baez was kind of the only real surprise. It looks like McKinstry is going to bat 9th and play against righties. So Vierling, who started against a lefty and batted, I think, 6th. I think it's opening day. Yeah, they started opening day. But where is it? Vierling. 5th. He batted 5th opening day against lefty. So it looks like he's gonna be in a weak side platoon. So I'm gonna have to update that because I think I had him as a part-timer. I knew McKinstry would start. And I still don't think Vierling's gonna be necessarily in a strict platoon, but maybe for now he is. They're gonna see what they have. Obviously, they're gonna utilize the lefty in McKinstry, and McKinstry proved to be serviceable, then fell off a cliff last year. I don't think McKinstry's bat's gonna keep him in the lineup. It's gonna be good enough to keep him in the lineup type of thing. But we'll see how that goes. At the end of the day, we're going to see McKinstry in there more than we probably anticipated to start the year, which is going to mostly eat into what's-his-face's playing time. Speaking of platoons here, Kerry Carpenter. I believe he sat the other day. Let's go back to that lineup and double-check that. But I'm pretty sure he sat against the lefty. He's not even popping up when you search him. So, yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, not a surprise, but just something worth mentioning because he's in the platoon as well. We projected that much on the site. Let's go. I guess I'm trying to think of which way to go about it. Let's do the 29th. That way we can go through the teams that have 2 lineups. Most of them, obviously, these couple games got rained out, but we saw this in spring training a bit. Harold Ramirez starting day 1 against a righty, and I think he started both games actually. So, but he's getting the first crack. I thought Ahmed Rosario was going to get it. I think I was quick to pivot when I realized after I said that they started putting Harold Ramirez in like right at the end of spring. I was like, yeah, no, it's going to be Harold Ramirez, not Ahmed Rosario. Ahmed Rosario had a fun little strong start to spring, and then looks like he's going to be in a weak side platoon for the most part. Harold Ramirez becomes an everyday bat, very interesting bat, middle of that order, decent DH only for now. Might gain outfield, but that DH only is going to really hurt him in fantasy. Then you have the rest of that lineup is just a series running. He has 3 stolen bases already. I think that's very interesting because he said he wanted to run more, and we're already seeing him run more. So cool. I don't go to Best Buy, but look at my ads. Canva. I use Canva a lot. Good thing I very appropriate search history on this computer, huh? Because then it would be giving myself away here on the ads. But I digress. The Blue Jays is kind of, I think, this second lineup, and they've all been the same. Going back to spring, this is what they showed us. This is the starting lineup. There is nothing spectacular here. Varsho 5th, Turner 4th, Vlad 2nd. Vlad is crushing the ball. Like, I think he has like 6 or 7 hard hit batted balls in 2 games already. He started off lifting the ball a little more already. I believe in spring, I heard Eno mentioning on this on podcast that he's been doing it in spring, going back to last year a little bit. And now this year, early on, he was lifting it, but we're talking such a small sample. It's pretty irrelevant of a sample, but it's just one of those things that, like, hey, look, we're seeing it happen. Let's see if it continues type of thing. Biggio has a home run on the year. He's playing every day against righties. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done, I guess. Then you have the Marlins are just so depressing. Evistar Garcia is god awful, just straight up garbage. He's gonna platoon, weak side platoon, it looks like. I'll see if lineup today drops and we get more, but sat against a righty on opening day, started against a lefty in favor of Nick Gordon. Nick Gordon looks like he's on the strong side of platoon there, so there's some upside there, some playing time potential. But again, always limited. These platoon guys are only deep league relevant. They're only really interesting for your streaming purposes. Something I thought was kind of a sneaky way to gain eligibility we'll see what Jake Berger does if he's going to continue to play first base against lefties. They did do this in spring a little bit. The Marlins did. They let Berger play first base, so here it is, 1 game there. And we're talking only a few more games, and he can have a sneaky first base eligible player, which not that you need the corner necessarily, but first base, third base. deeper formats, that flexibility is nice for a guy that you didn't plan on taking out of your lineup regardless. So that way you can move him around and maybe somebody pops up off the waiver wire or something. You never know. Injury purposes, etc. The Pirates are like against lefties. They're interesting, I guess. They got Kutch. They got Connor Joe. These guys are hitting top 4 back-to-back lineups. They faced another couple lefties over the weekend. So you'll see them probably stick in the lineup against lefties at the top of the order. Great streaming purposes if you're chasing plate appearances. Brian Hayes is off to a strong start this year, but like a 3-degree launch angle, which again, it goes back to he's pulling the crap out of the ball. Last I looked this morning, it was like 50-something%, but he's also like 50% of his ground balls to the pool, 50% of the balls to the pull side are ground balls right now. So he's pulling the ball, but he's not elevating to the pull side enough just yet for that power to play up. Will it come? I'm sure it will. We saw it in spring. We saw it towards the end of last year. He's not running yet. He stopped running in the second half of last year. So Brian Hayes is kind of a question in terms of like, what are we going to be doing here? Like I'm not really sure if we get the full breakout or not. It's again 2 games, but it's very encouraging in terms of like just the fact that he's hitting the ball he's hitting the ball hard right now. Had 3 hard hit batted balls yesterday, and he's seeing the ball well. But he always hits lefties well, so we'll see. Henry Davis, one of my favorite guys this draft season. Just love the player. He's just a lot of fun to watch. 2 games, 2 starts at catcher. Another player that had a strong spring. We know the power's there. We'll see if that continues. We'll see if that comes into play sooner than later. All these lefties, again, play into his favor. Oh, no, Cruz bang 6th or 7th. Not a surprise against lefties. He will probably lead off almost certainly against righties. He did last year. He did in spring. But he's still doing damage while not getting a chance to really, see a bunch of righties right now. So, he already has a home run against Sixto. Had another RBI hit yesterday. So batting 7th, at least he's playing every day. There's no platoon risk there, although there might have been initially people might have thought of it. None there. Michael A. Taylor's playing every day. Jack Sawinski hasn't started yet, so I wasn't sure if he was in a full platoon. He's gonna be in a part-time platoon. I thought it was maybe a part-timer against lefties. No, it looks like straight up platoon. They started Tellez, a lefty, over Sawinski yesterday, and then the day before yesterday, and then yesterday Edward Olivares, who pinch hit for Tellez, by the way, in the first game. He finally got the start. And you expect Olivares to start most days against lefties because that's his strength. And so you can see Olivares getting that playing time against lefties, weak side platoon. Tellez and Sawinski mostly in strong side platoons, occasional starts against lefties, but wouldn't expect a whole lot of production or playing time against lefties for them. The Yankees, we're waiting to see. Gleyber Torres x-rays came back negative on Torres, but he's been leading off. They showed us this at the end of spring. If he's missing time, it's going to be Verdugo or Volpe. Volpe against lefties most likely, with Verdugo probably getting a shot to lead off against righties because his name has been mentioned multiple times. Sure, he keeps getting overlooked, but we're watching the lineup today to see what happens. Astro's going to Astro. Jake Myers is playing every day. Payne is batting 8th. Kind of the only things, Yanier Diaz, kind of just, but this is consistent. This lineup's not going to change a whole lot. They don't need to change it a whole lot. Oh, if Torres misses time, John Birdie. Obviously, I'm still waiting. But Birdie hasn't made his debut yet for the Yankees. Probably still getting acclimated. Was a last-minute trade. But Oswaldo Cabrera is off to a strong start. Does that hold off Birdie from taking playing time? I thought Birdie was going to I still project him to start over Cabrera. But if Torres has to miss a few days or go on the IL for a minimum stay, both of them will have path to playing time. So we're watching to see that playing time fall out there. I still think they went out and got Birdie for a reason. But Cabrera is giving them reason to keep him in the lineup right now. He's hitting very well, although batting 9th. The Rockies, underappreciated is Charlie Blackmon. Leads off every day. He even played right field already once this season. Chris Bryant played first base and then right field, so it looks like he's going to bounce around, although he hasn't done anything to start off the year. We know the playing time's there. Eliuris Montero has started back-to-back games, so it looks like he's getting mostly everyday playing time. Maybe unexpected. I know I wasn't expecting every day. I had him as a part-timer initially, but they sent down Sean Bouchard. I thought, okay, so Montero will actually factor in more, but I didn't expect Montero to factor in so quickly against righties as a starter. He is banging the bottom of the lineup, as you can see right here, and that's kind of what you should expect from him until lefties will move up. But yeah, this lineup. It's not awful, but the pitching is so bad that it doesn't matter. This team's like the problem is when your pitching gives up that much running, there's a chance that your offense doesn't get a chance to really stay on the field because they just start subbing people out for the backup so people don't get hurt, whatever. Against lefties, Jock Sat came in, had like 4 hard hits yesterday. I think he went 5 for 5 or something. But obviously you see Gurriel, who's crushing the ball to start the year. Again, Rocky's pitching paired with just being a solid hitter, it works out for Gurriel. But he's also batting 3rd. over Moreno. This is what I initially projected, but then they showed us a lineup that was opposite. And then they went back to this lineup as spring went on. I guess Gurriel outperforming Moreno down the stretch was the differentiating factor. Geraldo Perdomo, his defense keeps him in the game. Blaze Alexander started against a lefty on opening day and then sat against a righty. So it looks like Blaze is on the weak side of a platoon. Perdomo started both games. So you can see that DH floating around. Maybe we'll see what happens against the next lefty they face. The Guardians, they are so gross. Like they actually, so they sat Laureano against a righty already for Will Brennan. Will Brennan batted fifth for this team. If they weren't facing the A's, I don't think they'd be scoring runs or winning games right now with this lineup. But we'll see. Bo Naylor sat against lefty as well. So we knew Bo Naylor would sit against lefties, but he sat opening day against a lefty. That was kind of a surprise. So I guess Bo Naylor might be in a strict platoon with Hedges. Florial's in a pretty strict platoon. He's DHing. He's barely good enough to play to be a starting outfielder. Like he should not be your DH bat. This team, I don't know what they're doing. Tyler Freeman's playing every day as a center fielder so far. So I thought maybe he'd be platooning. Nope. It looks like maybe his defense is being valued in center field, and that could lead to Laureano losing playing time. We'll see. Rocio's the starting shortstop. So although Arias looked like neither one of them really ran with it, so I guess they're giving Rocchio the first grab at it. Otherwise, this again, the top line's going to be here. Jimenez does bat lower against lefties, and weak side platoon guys include David Fry. I think Arias. We'll look it up right now because the other day it was David Fry. I thought Tyler Freeman was going to be a weak side platoon guy, but I guess he's full time. Hedges and Laureano might be. I feel like there's Arias might factor in as well as if injuries happen or days off, like if Jimenez needs a day off or something. Whatever it might be, we'll see. But yeah, it's a really ugly lineup. Sorry, Cleveland, but it is what it is. The A's, Hernandez, pretty strict platoon. I think he started against the lefty and then was pinch hit for. So they brought this kid up to play on part time and then limit his part time playing on top of that. Seems like an awful move, but it's the A's. I've learned to expect pretty much garbage from them in terms of like why are we doing this? But whatever. I digress. JJ Bleday stayed in against the lefty. I wasn't sure. I initially had him as a platoon bat as well as Lawrence Butler. They both started over Seth Brown. Maybe their defense in the outfield is why, because Brown's being older. Maybe they want to actually let the young kids play through it and but Rooker sat. That's where I found it weird that Rooker sat. So especially over Toro, but Toro batting fifth is ridiculous. Oh man, this lineup. But JD Davis obviously on a tear with something to prove. Kills lefties. So a big day against a lefty, not a surprise. Esteury Ruiz, weak side platoon, does lead off against lefties, but we saw him sit against righties on opening day. That doesn't give me much confidence. Plus, we just mentioned like four other outfielders that can factor right away, and he's the only righty. So Bleday looks like a playing time winner. Lawrence Butler for now does. Butler's gone off to obviously slow start versus in two games. Not fair to call it a slow start really, but that's all we had to go off of. So it's just a slow start. It is what it is. Slow start, I guess. The Boston Red Sox, that B threw me off. This is kind of what we're seeing. Look, and we actually saw O'Neill and Story already flip-flop yesterday. Casas dropped down to fifth instead of fourth. It's weird. Like they're kind of moving pieces around. Oh, it's why that happened. Okay, that happened because what's his face was scratched with the shoulder. So we're waiting to see what that. Dahlback got the start at third base with what's his face out. Oh my goodness, why do I not know names today? Devers out with a shoulder. Unknown how, why, what, where, when, ETA, anything. So we're just watching that. This lineup, we had Mitch Haniger scratched late. So I think we had Canzone and Luke Raley start. Raley looks like on the outside looking in with Canzone starting ahead of him in left field. But worth noting in this lineup, here, Raley's right here. So yeah, they both were in here again, and it was against a righty. So, but Urias started over Josh Rojas. Rojas, I feel like isn't a stronger. I don't know if it's a part-time. It's a weird role with Rojas. He should be strong side, but we're gonna watch that. He did start the first game, but again, him and Canzone, it's tough because those guys are pretty strict platoons if they are in one. If they are in one in general, because Dominic Canzone and Josh Rojas both were pinch hit for actually. So when you see people in platoons getting pinch hit for mid game because of they came up against a lefty or righty, whatever their platoon split is. that tells you that their platoons are probably pretty strict, right? You got to think that. So that's where my concern is with Canzone. As much as I like him, I don't trust the playing time to be there, even if unless they're facing like 6 out of 7 righties, and even then, he's not going to play full games from the looks of things. If that first game was any indication, unless they, I don't know, we'll see. But that's how I'm reading into it right now. Late in spring, we saw Soler batting second, and that has stuck with Chapman batting fourth. And Chapman's been on absolute fire. We saw him start the year like this last year as well, so we'll see how that sticks. But Chapman, he'll break your heart. Don't let him trick you. And the problem with all this, though, with all this fallout, is Estrada is batting 6th or 7th in this lineup. And I don't know, man. It's a sneaky good lineup. I think it's underappreciated. I know it's gonna be. I think it'll be fluky or it'll be hot, like streaky of a lineup because there's no superstar, but they have so much. They just have good depth, and like this lineup from top to bottom, not scary, but not like, oh, it's not the A's, it's not the Pirates. There's something there. There's enough there to make it competitive most nights, I would think. And somebody, let's see, would I start Yamamoto tonight? Depends, like NFBC, where you have to eat that first start. No, but yeah, otherwise the Cardinals aren't an offense I'm scared of right now. So I would start them against, like, strictly tonight against the Cardinals. Yeah, I have no problem starting them. We have to watch the weather too. Ben Tid with the comment. Yes, King Curlin's doing a stream right now. 439 people watching according to the thing. That's a pretty crazy number. I wasn't expecting that, but I'll take it. The Padres. Excuse me. Bogarts leading off has been a thing. Tatis. This line we've known. We saw it in Korea. Hasn't changed. The reason what I don't understand is, I know Rosario and Wade are splitting third base. Wade with the strong side platoon, Tyler Wade, but they have Graham Pauley on the team still. Why not send him down for meaningful at bats in the minors while he gets ready? That's where my question is with this whole thing. Why is Graham Pauley not playing if he's on the roster? It seems like a terrible mismanagement of the player. But I'm just a person who looks from the outside looking in. What do I know? This team is pretty cut and dry with the playing time here. It's Rojas, weak side platoon, Chris Taylor, weak side platoon, Enrique Hernandez, weak side platoon. Those guys are always playing the lefties, and you've seen Outman sit 2 lefties now, along with Lux and Hayward. So you have Hayward, Lux, and Outman sitting against lefties with Muncy still playing. So Muncy, like, I thought he was going to be a little more dinged because of the depth, but it looks like Muncy is on the inside looking out for once when it comes to playing time against lefties, at least for now. Obviously, I think, like, if Outman's swinging a real hot bat, Max Muncy's struggling or a little dinged up, you'll see that flip-flop here and there. But right now, Muncy's a full-time guy. There's no, other than I expect Muncy to sit like a game over the weekend type of thing for rest, but Muncy's the guy, and he's batting 5th in this lineup. And I think he was mispriced. I mean, I understand the batting average concerns are there, but man, he's hitting 5th in the Dodgers lineup. I'll take a 225 hitter if it's going to get me 30-something home runs in the middle of this lineup, probably. This dude just hits. I have a bunch of Muncy, and I understand, but I did build. He was build specific. I would actually take Muncy, Michael Garcia, like on the like in the like back-to-back rounds to pair the skill set. Whatever. We're past draft season. Just know that Muncy is probably underappreciated, and I understand the batting average being a concern. Brendan Donovan hasn't even recorded a hit yet, I don't think. He's been leading off. It's been a very tough couple starts, and it doesn't get any easier if Yamamoto is what we expect him to be. Victor Scott, everyday center fielder, while Lars Nootbaar is out and stuff. Lars is due back soon. Will Scott do enough in that short period to hold his spot? That's to be determined. He did steal base already as soon as he got on base. But again, the schedule is not doing him any favors in these first few games. And if Lars Nootbaar is going to get back, he's already taking pain-free swings, doing simulated games. He's playing a 4-inning simulated game today, I believe, swinging at full speed. So it sounds like sooner than later. And there's talks that Nootbaar might not even have to do a long or any rehab assignment. So just something to keep in mind. Let's see if we have any lineup. And I know that I missed some lineup, so I want to go back to opening day real quick and see, like, there's teams that just didn't play yesterday, I believe. Well, maybe we touched on the Rangers. The Rangers, Evan Carter started against a lefty. I figured after seeing the fallout of the lineup, it made sense that he would play every day. And they mentioned that he would probably get a chance to play against lefties, but just obviously realized Evan Carter's going to bat 8th or bottom of the lineup against lefties and probably still sit against some as needed. But he's an everyday player, and that's kind of a big deal because you drafted Evan Carter around 100 to 120 range. You wanted that guy. Like, you drafted him for that reason, to play every day. Nico Hoerner did in fact bat 7th, and people were having a hard time believing this, but this goes back to I saw this in the lineup once or twice in spring, and then Cubs fans were really vocal about, hey, Counsell said he wants this. And then when you think about what Counsell did with the Brewers, Sal Frelick, which is in my brain a Hoerner type of player, batted 5th through 7th based on need, injuries, whatever it might be. And then you had Yelich leading off. Well, this is very similar. Hap not being as good as Yelich, obviously, and Hoerner, I think we can all argue, or if not agree, that Hoerner's probably the better hitter, at least at this point in their careers. But it's the skill sets are there. You have OBP type in Hap leading off and a hit first type of guy batting, middle, bottom third of the lineup. And that's just the way Counsell likes to build his lineups out, I guess. So, yeah, it wasn't really much of a surprise to those who were catching on, we're talking about on Twitter and stuff like that, or X. But yeah, you gotta like what you see. It's you gotta not like what you see if you're a Hoerner guy. But Hoerner's gonna lead out. I think you're seeing one of those things where they flip flop, where Hoerner hits at the top against lefties and Hap lower. And if you look at their splits, Hap was okay against lefties, but Hoerner's better. And it's one of those things where it's against righties, same thing. Hap better, Hoerner's worse. So nothing really to take away here. I guess it goes back to the fact that Young batted 3rd against lefties and he's batting 5th. So Young's batting top 5 or 6 in this lineup. I thought there could have been a chance he got bumped down, but I think Young's gonna get a shot to stick towards the middle versus being pushed down so quickly. White Langford's going to have to hit his way up, but he's batting 6th. Still, this lineup is ridiculously strong and deep for the most part. There's no reason why you don't want any. Give me one of the top 6 hitters all day in this lineup, and there's no reason why you won't like it, the outcome. We talked about this. Oh, yeah, Ryan Noda's another guy on the A's that strong side platoon. Again, I was surprised Rooker sat as a righty against a lefty, but I wouldn't expect that to happen much. I think Rooker's going to play against most lefties. The Mariners. Yeah, we talked about Mariners. JP Crawford leads off. No one's really talking about JP Crawford. He hit a home run yesterday. I think we're going to see pretty much the same JP Crawford as 2023, which was just better for draft and holds where you have to draft a guy and just kind of set him, forget him. He's the new Segura in terms of not the bad comp and skill sets, but a guy that's you can kind of just write his line in ink, leading off runs. He's going to be a decent mid 20, a low 20s home run guy, high teens at worst. He's gonna hit for a decent average, and yeah, he's gonna be good. Not great, nothing special, not flashy, only 15 team relevant unless you're really desperate in 12s for a middle infielder, but not a whole lot there. George Springer, I think, is 2 home runs already this season in back-to-back games or something like that. I think that's something I wanted to mention. And then you have the Royals, Michael Garcia, our leadoff hitter. Those who know, I love Garcia this year, a guy that I started targeting after I realized I wasn't in on him initially, and then I'd say halfway into about January-ish, I started looking at the lineup some more. I'm there's a market mismatch here. Michael Garcia should lead off this team, and he's being drafted in the low 200s. And the skill set, if you look under the hood, there's reasons for optimism with the power. We'll see. I mean, he so far, again, too small of a sample. 3 hard hit balls, 1 was a home run, and the other 2 were elevated as well. So maybe he'll be able to elevate the ball a little better this year now that he had a full offseason and all that. Nelson Vasquez is the starter, but he's batting 8th. So I wonder how long the leash is against righties. The Twins are a good one to talk about here because obviously Buxton batting leadoff against the lefty. He's going to bat top of the order regardless. Jeffers batting 2nd was a surprise, and I wasn't sure how long that would stick. I still don't know how long it'll stick, but with Royce Lewis out for unknown time at this moment, I think we're going to see a lot of. I think Jeffers might stay in the top of the order against lefties, which is cool because that's more plate appearances than we might have expected initially from Jeffers. I think Jeffers will bat towards the bottom against righties. We're going to find that out probably today. With Lewis out, they called up Austin Martin. So sorry guys, but Edouard Julien, I don't know if the playing time is going to be there against lefties anymore. Julien did come in for Lewis in this game to replace him and went to second base. But I think Kyle Farmer against righties for the defensive purposes. I know Castro is a switch hitter, so we should get more of an answer there. But those are obviously the 2 gainers against righties. And then against lefties, I think Austin Martin's going to factor in right away. He could play second base. He could play the outfield. Austin Martin's a guy that the hit tool's solid. He can steal bases. And I think that if you see, there's a reason why Rocco Baldelli sat Julian day one, opening day against a lefty. I don't think he wants him in against lefties often, at least right now. Maybe once he gets hot or gets going, injuries happen. That's what paths to it, but we'll see how they utilize. Or maybe Austin Martin's coming up and helping with Kepler while he's injured, because again, Martin can play the outfield, right? So we don't know exactly what's going to happen just yet against lefties, but we do know that Julian is no guarantee to gain that playing time against lefties right away initially. So just keep that in mind. Not that he won't, just like hey, there's Austin Martin can do it. Kind of, he's that utility guy that can play all around the field. He could get in the way of that for Julian. So I think it's more of it's a great move for them because they can cover both sides. Like they can cover everybody if that's the case. You know what I mean? They can cover the outfield or the infield as needed based on injuries and all the other stuff. Last couple lineups here to talk about. India leading off, no surprise. I guess the surprise was the top of the lineup. Benson second, CES third. There was talks all spring about Ellie batting second, at least against righties, and he batted sixth day one. I don't think that he won't move up. I could honestly see Ellie moving up to batting second, Benson dropping down a little bit. Benson was showing some strikeout issues, but walks and he likes to run. And Benson, at least against righties, will bat top two for now, it looks like, but that could change as soon as today. We'll see lineups. I'll go check lineups, see what's come out since we started this. It should be a lot of them out by now. And then the Nationals. This is what you see is what you get. Rosario in center field, not great for the pitchers, but great for playing time. Great streamer, hit a home run already too. Against righties, it looks like the playing time's there. Winker batting third, Gallo batting fifth. These aren't surprises. It's just gross. And people are like, well, what about the young guys? I think they're going to either take that extra year and bring them up, or they're going to play with them even worse, get the extra year of control, and then keep them rookie eligible entering next year where they can have that shot at, the comp picks and such. So I don't know if we see Wood and company so soon. As much as we would like to and should, I don't know if the Nationals are going to do it. And the Angels, Rendon and Hicks. I've heard some podcasts mention that it was kind of a surprise. I think Sano starting day one is the biggest surprise, because I really did think Rengifo was going to start day one. Now, is this going to sustain? Who knows? Maybe in the short term, Rengifo is kind of on the outside looking in initially, I guess. But Hicks and Rendon batting top two is what they showed us at the end of spring. And Ron Washington has come out and said that he wanted people who saw pitches at the top of the lineup. Rendon and Hicks both see a bunch of pitches. We'll see how long this sticks, or if one moves down, one moves up. I think it's a very fluid situation here. But right now, Hicks and Rendon back to back in the lineup, probably here to stay for at least the short term. Let's check in on lineups today before we move on to. I think that's the only. There's one other injury. There's a whole bunch of pitching stuff I can get into on another stream, but we have a few lineups. So right now, so against a lefty, Steer batting second, CS third in both. Love to see it. Ellie sixth in both. Okay, so there's a little give and take, because I thought Ellie was going to bat closer to ninth against lefties. So Ellie batting sixth and sixth. There's give and take there, because at least he's playing every day. He's not platooning. I never really figured he was going to platoon. I figured if he's playing, he's playing. Will Benson not platooning right now. Fraley's going to factor in, I'm sure, but Benson's getting the first crack at it, batting ninth against our lefty. And that's kind of, I think I flip-flopped. I initially had Fraley, realized Benson was getting more run in spring, and I flip-flopped him. So that's where before the season started. So Benson was kind of the guy there. And but Steer batting higher. I knew he'd bat higher. I didn't realize he'd bat second though. So that's fine. I mean, he always made sense he'd bat higher against lefties. But CES batting third against both. Really nice to see. Santiago Espinal, more of a DFS guy. He's going to be a weak side platoon bat, and he's batting fifth. So not a bad spot. Good ballpark. It's Patrick Corbin. I'm sure you're going to see a bunch of Espinal and DFS today. I don't do DFS. I just understand how that works. And let's see, against a righty. Okay, so I want to see this. Why did they keep Cowser up? So, and they are leading off. Wow. After all spring, they even said they wanted Mullins leading. They like Mullins leading off. They like his bat there. Yada yada. They like the team better when Mullins leads off. They let off Mullins all spring. Gunnar Henderson's leading off against righties. I get it. He deserves it. There's no arguing that. It's just a very big surprise because the team themselves came out and said that they like Mullins leading off, and then they went against it. So already a surprise. I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna have to go and edit that right away for the most part. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to edit that. But yeah, that's it's interesting. Okay, good for. I mean, Gunnar Henderson was going to bat top 3 anyway. Mountcastle starting against a righty. O'Hearn DH. I want to. I'm going to watch Mountcastle. I think his leash might be a little shorter than most because of all the depth they have in the system. I just don't understand why they have Cowser. Why do you keep Cowser up not to start him? I projected him to. I know it was a risky projection, but I figured if you kept Cowser up, you were going to play him over Hayes against righties, or at least play him somewhere against righties and sit others. And Hayes being a corner outfielder, righty with he's a legitimate league average bat against. I think he's like a WRC plus of 100 for his career against righties. I just figured it didn't make sense to bring Cowser up to not start him regularly. So I think we're going to have to see Hayes. I think we're going to have to bump down that projection on Cowser a bit because Hayes is getting that start against righties right away. We'll see what happens. I'm sure Cowser will factor in. That's not really a question, more so a matter of when. But yeah, they kept him up and they optioned depth parts. Just that's a weird move. Why keep up Cowser to not play him and then they had guys that they had no options of that they just let go. They DFA'd them. So the Orioles kept up a guy to not give him regular run to then DFA players they could have kept for that type of role. I just want it to make sense. Okay. Dominic Fletcher, everyday player. Did Braden Schumacher? I know he made the team, but did he actually straight up just take the job? Not like a impressive prospect, but a better, more interesting name than what's his face, the DeYoung, Paul DeYoung. Which now we have to go back and look and see if he was there for that lineup. Come on, let's go back. It's not loading. Of course, it's not. I want to see if DeYoung was in that lineup on opening day, and I just didn't pay attention. I did not notice it because he was there opening day. So I don't know. I just don't think DeYoung has a regular role. I don't think Schumacher has a regular role. Although I could see Schumacher being the regular guy because why not give him a shot? Oh, look, Michael Garcia leading off again. And then look, see, this is what I was talking about with I don't know how long his leash is. Nick Lofton's at DH stay over Velasquez. It's a tough righty, but game two, they maybe they just want to get Nick Lofton in. This could be as simple as getting Nick Lofton in there because he broke camp with the team. Massey's due back soon. It could be as simple as that. Or there is something to the whole, we don't know the leash of what's his face of Velasquez yet. So yeah, a couple things. How long are we on this? Okay, so 30. Oh, we have okay, I can go a few more minutes. So I'll switch over to the site here. I wrote up 2 articles the last 2 days, and we'll go over them real quick because I think it's worth mentioning the StatCast standouts. Gallon, velocity, and this is, again, MLBplayingtime.com for those listening because this will be on podcast feed, but you can read them. I put all the notes. I tweet about them. I put the notes on the site in article form as well. Velocity was notably down. More so hey, what we're going to watch and see first start of the year. I don't really overreact. Like, yeah, it sucks. You see almost 2 ticks on the fastball. That's a very notable, especially a guy coming off his innings, the innings he pitched in Gallon, and then the injury history prior to last year. Just something you keep in mind, you watch moving forward. Brian Bayo, big pitch mix change, dropped the 4-seamer completely, up the usage of the sinker, changeup, and I think the slider. So it's like just in a velo uptick. He actually sustained a 1 mile per hour velo uptick throughout the whole start. Talk about Benson a little bit. Seiya, good hard hit ball. It was more so like he went 1 for 5, but he still had 3 hard hit batted balls. Bieber, 1 mile per hour up on the fastball. Cutter had more movement. Slider had a lot more movement, but he only threw it 8% of the time. So not really a true offering in this outing, but Bieber can make this work if he finds success or comfort in it. So just something worth mentioning that the slider has like a new look to it. Kyle Freeland's velocity was up, but he was awful. There's no reason to put that. It was interesting to see Colt Keith and Meadows being the only 2. Like the Tigers as a whole only had 9 hard hit batted balls on the opening day, but 4 of them were to the rookies and Keith and Meadows. So that was cool to see. Bregman, I think he had a home run yesterday, or he had something. I don't remember. He's been hitting the ball hard to start the year. Sandoval, he got beat up, but only one hit hard hit ball at all in that start. So it was more like just a bunch of like smaller hits, not necessarily good to be hittable, but just something I was like, hey, I found it interesting. No real reasons why. Michael Garcia went with this. We mentioned him already. Logan Webb threw the side 27% of the time. Came with more movement and less velo, so probably by design. When you see off, I don't get so concerned I haven't done so. I haven't been so concerned. I don't get so concerned about velo changes in secondaries because usually when there's a velo change in secondary, there's movement change as well. Usually you get more movement the slower you throw it. I think is how I've seen it. Hey Carter, you've have you? Yes, we have bullpens and closers. Wait, I haven't talked about them yet, but and I don't cover holds, but on the site we do have projected closers and stuff. George Montanez at Roto_Nino covers them. So on the site they're on the projected rosters, but I haven't talked about those yet. They're talked about on every other podcast. I'm focusing on the playing time stuff and this stuff that's not going to be on every single podcast, I don't think. Here, let's mute that, and you can see the curveball. The new Strider curveball is pretty. Look at that, boom. So he threw it 10 times, 11% usage. So it's a true third pitch. I think that's the number that we target here. 11%, 10% or more, and the whiffs were 2 out of 3. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. I think I'm gonna have to get going though because I think my family's home. It sounds like they're getting in, and I tried to rush this. I tried to sneak this in before they all walked in, but real quick, we'll go through it until someone walks through the door, I guess. Nick Pivetta, 33% of the time he threw the sweeper. I know the sweeper was added last year midseason and usage was higher, but overall in the season was low, 5.4%. But that's not fair because obviously he incorporated it like as a reliever come midseason, wherever. But to see him throw it that much, and it was the most thrown pitch out of his arsenal, very interesting. Javier quietly pitched well, but had a huge usage bump in his changeup. 28% usage in the start, no more than 4.1% usage in his last 2 seasons. He featured a true 3-pitch mix for the first time, which is nice because he's a guy that we've always wanted that third pitch. The changeup might just be that. Bayou Miller, stud. Something worth mentioning was that he had he created a bigger differential between his changeup and fastball. So if he tunnels them well, hitters are gonna have that much harder of a time picking up on the changeup and fastball because again, there's 11 mile per hour difference at this point between them. Puck struggled with command, which was weird because all spring he had it, but velocity was way down. And again, relievers transitioning to starters, velocity being down isn't out of the ordinary, but this was like way down, like almost 3 miles per hour, right? So it's something to keep in mind that the fastballs aren't going to be overpowering, sitting at 93 compared to 95 or 96, but he utilizes the sweeper as the most thrown pitch of his, so you're getting a little give and take there. I think I wouldn't really be worried. I'd still be holding on to him and most likely starting him next outing, depending on the matchup. Marte hit a home run. Good for him. Rodon looked all right. Whatever. Threw a cutter 60% of the time. He threw it literally just once last year. So just worth mentioning that he had that added pitch through the slider 2 miles per hour harder. So change a little tighter of a movement, less overall movement, just a tighter slider. More and now I almost wish he had more of the sweeping slider to kind of go against that cutter, because the cutter and a tight slider, I feel like if you had that sweeping motion of more of a sweeper type of sweeping slider, whereas the cutter is a tight moving fastball, might be a little maybe because they're both tighter pitches, but one moves a little slower than the other. Maybe that helps. I don't know. I'm not a pitching guy altogether, just where my brain goes with this stuff. Ross Stripling's velo's down all the way. Who cares about him though? He's barely a streamer in 15s. I'm not worried about the Zach Wheeler dip. We're talking mile per hour. Got up to almost 90 pitches yesterday. I think it's more so like he's ramping up. Not really worried. Same thing with George Kirby. Got up to 99 pitches on his first start. 1 mile per hour down. I'm not gonna. It's just something I noted, but not something I'm worried about at all with him. Matt Chapman. We talk about how hard he's hitting. We talk about series stealing. Savale was interesting. We knew Savale was gonna like crush, or we at least felt like Savale was gonna have a good year. At least I did. I know I did. I have a lot of Savale because I trusted the Rays to do things. And the sinker usage was up 29% versus 18.6% last year. The slider was up 19% after just 5.6% usage last year. That was kind of the big one. Not only was the slider usage way up, but he cut 2.5 miles per hour off of it and added 6 inches of vertical movement and 7 inches of horizontal movement. So the slider is just way more movement on it. It did catch the plate a ton, so there wasn't a whole lot of whiffs, but we'll see how it goes. It's just something it's worth noting when a guy makes a huge jump in a usage of a pitch, while also I have little glitches on my system here. He made a big change in usage of the pitch while also changing the shape of the pitch. So it's just an interesting thing. Like there's a pitch mix change, there's a pitch change. Savale just made it work. Torres, X-rays were negative after getting hit by a pitch on the hand yesterday. We talked about the Royce Lewis and Edward Julian possibly still getting screwed because Austin Martin, and Murphy oblique strain. Travis Darno. Whew, not bad. 45 minutes. I'm gonna call it a stream. No other questions are in the chat. Appreciate those who watched. Up to 568. Nice. All right, cool. We'll talk soon. I'm gonna do. I got. This is just like a pre-show type of thing. Like we're actually gonna try to do weekly. I have Dap Scout at Dap Scout on X, who's gonna be my host, and we're gonna talk like I don't know 15, 20 minutes a week just about this stuff. And I'll do occasional ones like this to help catch up on everything. So appreciate those who tuned in, and we'll talk soon.